If you can be watching this YouTube right now, congratulations, you won the world lottery.
What is one belief or lesson that you had to unlearn in order to become the person that you are today?
I think one thing I told myself, it's funny, is that everything that's bad is good. And I told myself that from a very young age. But I think if you allow yourself to think bad is bad, you can crumble. If you allow yourself to see bad as good, you bounce back from everything.
Mm.
It's not how hard you can hit, it's how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward, as Rocky said in Balboa, which was the sixth Rocky to his son. And so I think that's really, really helped me a lot. Seeing everything that's bad that has ever happened bad in my life, personally, professionally, financially, I was like, this is gonna be better. And you just got to find out how.
Mm. Yeah, and when did that happen for you? Is that recently, or did something, like, spark it a as, like, a catalyst for that?
No, I think it's probably like when I was a young kid. You know, man, my dad left when I was a baby. He was actually abusive to himself and to my mom. So my mom left and then moved to a different market outside the Bay Area. And so I never knew him. When I came back, I saw him like a couple times, but he died homeless in the Bay Area. And my mom told me that he left because he didn't want me to be like him. And I think I always knew that wasn't true. It's a beautiful narrative. And so I went with it. And it made me feel good. Like I'm gonna be this kind of person because he was that kind of person. Like I didn't take Advil until I was in college because he did a lot of drugs. And I didn't drink until, well after college. And so I think maybe that's where it started.
Thank you for sharing that. I know it's gonna help a lot of people who are listening to this podcast. I just wanna thank you for allowing us to rent the belief in ourselves until we owned it, because when we just started at Compass, it was intimidating seeing all these other agents, and so I just wanna thank you for that. Who in your life can you thank for renting belief in you before you owned it?
I mean, it's for sure is Vernon Jordan. He was the best friend of Bill Clinton for many years. He walked with Martin Luther King. He was head of the National Urban League, civil rights leader. He was friends of every president since I think it was Nixon or Carter. He passed away a few months before Compass went public, which I was sad. He was gonna be the first person I was gonna call and thank him. He told me to apply to be a White House fellow, which I did. He said all young professionals in the private sector should get exposure to the public sector, even just for 1 year, because the experience you develop, the relationships you attained, and what you learn will be transferable to either profession. He was a tall, 6'6", dark black man. And we worked in an investment bank together. He was the only other black person there at the time. And there are these thin walls, like halls, like this. And normally when you would walk, I was an analyst. I was 23, so they became associate. But at 23, the partners who were all white except Vernon would walk by, and you would go to the side like this and let them go through. When Vernon walked through, the partners would go like this, which was, and to see a tall, dark black man, and he's on more Fortune 500 boards than any person ever. So seeing him so great and powerful and confident, it made me feel what it actually really did. I think the world of my youth made me feel like black was a disadvantage. I think Vernon and then later President Obama made me feel like it's an advantage. Remember, it's just a mindset. It's like, and by the way, you and your husband clearly, it's like it can make you stand out.
Mm.
Like if you both were black, would I know you as well? Like, would I be like you've been visible? Your difference can be an advantage. By the way, another guy said this, David Rubenstein. He's one of these billionaire guys. And you'd be surprised how many successful people came from nothing. Like there's actually how many billionaires' parents were postal workers. I actually had that list.
Wow.
But what he wrote, he said, my disadvantages were my greatest advantages because they gave me the motivation to succeed. Seeing Vernon, it made me stop obsessing about, being Black as, oh, I'm the only person here and da-da-da, and all of the hard, be like, hey, I can stand out. I work really hard. I can stand out and people remember you, and then you'll make an impression. You see it as an advantage. And that really helped.
Yeah, and it goes back to you saying making the bad good.
Making the bad good. Like I didn't know how, I didn't know how, I don't think until him, because I think you probably know like how many conversations there are like, oh, this isn't fair, that guy's there, and like there's, and I remember in the Bay Area, and I lived in Berkeley, and back then it was like a much more diverse world. But I remember going into a Gap and seeing someone like kind of follow me around, ask for help. And I was like, oh, he thinks I'm gonna steal something. But then I remember going back like a year later and no one asked for help. It was like, oh, they think I can't afford anything. And so like, it's in this thing in your freaking mind of like, oh, it must be because I'm Black. I'd be really happy if people don't have that now, but I was raised like that with my friends. That's what you talk about. I remember coming to New York, and this is for fact. I went to Columbia's in just below Harlem, and I put out my hand for a taxi, and they would go straight by me and to someone white. Like that happened. That's happened so many times. That's a fact. so, but the harder thing is the driver was usually Black. So you're all like, ah.
Really mess with your brain. Yeah.
And then like you'd go to a club, I'm 18 years old or whatever, 21. You try to go in, and then like the white people like you're with, go in, but they won't let you in. You know how bad that feels when you're just a little kid. But then again, the bouncer was Black. Like, oh my God.
That's
So,
what I'm going on. Yeah.
yeah, I don't know if you really think positively about that. I don't know I don't know. I don't think there's a positive spin to those things.
Other than having these conversations and having maybe the bouncers kids watch this and then understand, where these things can come from and how to unlearn a lot of the things that we've grown up learning. That's what I'm hopeful for. And that's why I have this podcast as a way to pass this down to, the younger generation. Because I believe that generational wealth is built through a generational wealth of knowledge. And it's what we leave
Like
them,
that.
the mindset, right? Not necessarily the physical assets, but the mental assets that we can leave them.
I like that a lot. I agree.
And I just want to thank you for everything, this
Thank you.
podcast and our friendship with your family. Definitely created a lifestyle, back to your point about being happy with what you have. It's created a lifestyle for my family I would never have imagined. And it was really because your mom told me to change from saying sweet dreams to dream big. And ever since then, like everything has changed. So I just really want to thank you. If
That's
I
great.
haven't said it enough, you, Benice, your mom, everybody.
Well, let's keep dreaming big together
I
and
appreciate
be happy with what you have. And then I think that was really important, just liberating myself from like, oh, this is a bad thing. This is an advantage. Like a C student in high school, in college, so I'm a real student. And I think that I told myself, because I'm a C student, maybe it's pro sales, like you sell yourself, but maybe because I'm a C student, that's why I was able to start a DJ business. And I made it over $100,000 as a DJ in the Bay Area. I was the most utilized disc jockey in the San Francisco Bay Area private high school system for 2 years in a row. And so then when I like applied, I got to Columbia with a C average. I didn't let people define me by my weaknesses. I created strengths around them and shared those.
And I read a lot of that in your book, No One Succeeds Alone. And so thank you for sharing that with all of us to have breadcrumbs, right, for our own journey. So thank you.
Thank you.
Um, and I know that you have 3 young kids. If knowledge is inheritance, what are the top 3 lessons that you are passing down to River and Ruby and Raya?
One is be kind. And it's so important to me to be kind. And when you see it, sometimes kids aren't always kind. And so I tell them, look, you don't have to be smart, you don't have to be this, you don't have to be that, but you have to be kind. You have to be. I think and being curious, right? Like, and these are gifts. Sometimes I think when you have 3 kids, you realize how different people are. They're all my kids, but completely different personalities. And I think you would like to believe like it all comes from your DNA and it goes down. No, these are different people. They're very, very different. A parent can amplify who they are, but they are who they are. They can amplify in positively or negatively, but they are who they are. So I think that's probably a second thing, which is very important to me, that there's a sentiment I heard once from, this is who I am. Who I am is just fine. I'm not going to let anyone make me feel bad for who I am. I repeat that with our kids frequently. This is who I am. Who I am is just fine. I'm not going to make anyone feel bad for how you look, your skin color, your sexuality, like anything. And there's so much pressure in the world right now, particularly social media. Yeah. Number 3, don't use social media. I mean, we gave them the phone way too quick. We're 1.5 of them, but I'm going to be hardcore on social media. You're 8 kids, we're going to have that conversation. Daddy, no. Like, is this your house? This is my house. Like, but when you have your own house, then you could have your social media, but not until 18. You know, you see some of the social media posts where it's that picture. It's really sad, actually. It's like, this is what life was like before social media. And it's like the kids like in a playground, like doing the circle thing and like go on swings. And look, they had TV back then, so it's not as romanticized as it was,
Right.
but it was better.
Thank you for sharing that because there's so many people out there that feel like when is a good time to give a phone? And so if you could go back in time, what would be a good time? Because Olivia's already asking and she's like 7.
No, we fell. We created her. We did not do it. We gave it to 8. I think 8 is when we started.
Okay.
And I think there's a difference between having an iPad, having a phone that has internet for days that they can be outside the house and use it. You know, someone told me their kids don't like going on vacations. But then the kids realize they can take the phone on vacation and they can drive when you're driving 3 hours to be on the phone the entire time. Now they want to go. I mean, it's so wild. What's really happened is this is the most valuable company in the world because it is designed to make us addicted to it. I mean, it's just taking trillions of dollars of research to make us addicted. It uses colors, it uses fonts. You know, and we have, how can we compete against trillions of dollars of investment to make us want to not focus on it because they get paid per second that you're on it. But yeah, I think I would just wait as long as possible. But I think social media, we all got to hold our arms, say no,
Yeah,
because
it's so hard.
there's no happiness in social media.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you.
Although me and my wife, we actually, she now has like, we kind of almost like flirt through social media. Like, I don't know how it ended up happening. She like, and I can't really, share the details of the kind of stuff, but she like, it's like this kind of relationship stuff. Then she'll send it to me and then I'll send stuff back to her and it's a lot of fun.
Oh, that's cute that you're flirting through DMs.
Yeah.
In a
But,
bed.
but my kids don't have a boyfriend or girlfriend. So there's no flirting. So there's nothing good in social media for that.
So, we all know that you built Compass to what it is today, $1 billion brand, and you've had to take calculated risks that can play a huge part in your journey. What advice can you give to home buyers who are just beginning their journey in wealth building?
If I was a home buyer today, my advice would be first, work with an incredible agent, right here before you have one of the best in the market. And there are reasons why. One, they're professional. They've done what you want to do many, many, many times over. So they can see the forks in the road that you can't even see. They can see the challenges that you don't know, the bumps. They'll know the questions to ask that you don't know to ask. And these, if you don't ask them questions, there's risk. Like some of these houses cost a lot of money to fix up. People didn't understand going in. So I think get a good agent, and then of course they would negotiate for you and access to unique inventory. I think in the Bay Area, there are a lot of listings that aren't just publicly visible. Compass, I believe, has over 200. These are listings that homeowners don't want to put in the public domain because there's risk like days on market, price drop history, because there's negative insights like weather and all the inquiries get sold off to third party agents, not to the listing agent they hired. So there are all these reasons why they don't want them public, but it's a big piece of the market. If I had to guess, more than 20% of the market, well over in terms of starts off not in the public domain. And so if you have a great agent, they'll have access to that. A lot of that's the good stuff. I would also say I wouldn't try to time the market. Your house is where you want to live for a long period of time. Find the right home for you, the right neighbor, the place that'll make you happy. If mortgage rates are high now, there's one of two things. Either they're high now, they're going to stay high. High now, they stay. Okay, get it now. High, it goes down. Okay, get it, and then refinance later. but if it goes down, then prices tend to go up when mortgage rates go down. So you could lock in the price and refinance later. And so that would be my advice. Get the right agent, find the right home, find the off MLS inventory that homeowners want to start off MLS, and then get the right home for you.
Thank you for that advice. I know somebody listening to this will really value it, especially the off market part, because that's something that you don't see on Redfin or Zillow or any of these other places.
Agents know so much more. I would say it this way. Agents probably know, not probably, almost definitely know 10 plus times more than Redfin and Zillow. They know the agent that has that listing, and they know that agent tends to overprice by 10%. You can get 10% off. Like, I mean, I can't even overstate it. It's so much to talk through. A good agent knows the agent at the other place and has so many good relationships and transactions with them that they may get put to the top of the stack. Because when a seller is going to agree, certainty is a big piece of it. Certainty of close. And so a bad agent, you don't know, is there going to be certainty of close? They may fall apart. And you can see that agents that are not as professional, that are more part-time, their deals fall apart more. While a professional, it's much less. And so there's so many reasons why to work with a great agent.
Thank you for underlaying that. I really appreciate it. What are some of the most underrated strategies that you feel like real estate professionals and first time home buyers could start using in building wealth, but they aren't currently right now?
Strategies to start building wealth in real estate. I mean, there's definitely the 1031 exchange, where when you buy a home and when you sell it, you exchange tax free into another home. Of course, get a mortgage where you have tax deductible interest. You can rent property out. Some of the wealthiest people in this country are people who bought a long time ago and just never sold. In many cases, even by accident. You should watch the movie The Founder with Michael Keaton. It was a great movie, great entrepreneurial movie. But it goes through the history of the founder of McDonald's. And he founded it, by the way, when he was in his 50s. What they did is they bought the land, and then they would have McDonald's franchise. You wanted to take the franchise and then sell all the burgers. They'd buy the land and fix up the McDonald's restaurant area, and then they would rent it out. And they did this over and over again. But then over the course of 10, 20, 30 years, the asset they ended up having was they owned all the land. And so you look in Times Square, there's a McDonald's. That means they own that land in Times Square. And they end up getting McDonald's in a lot of places that were premium, or at the time that were places with a lot of traffic and that had value, and they created the traffic. Places went around them. So my point is, owning real estate over time. I don't know if you could point to a market and say, oh, that person regrets owning real estate for 20 years. Maybe it's somewhere. I just haven't seen it yet. Not in any major market. Maybe it's in a market that lost all the population, but that's a very unique issue.
Yeah, and then I have a feeling they are gonna gain it back, right? We're starting to see
Yeah.
that in certain areas, right? People left and now they're making their way back. So I agree with you. I totally agree with you. To go back to your point about you have been in the most like rooms with the most wealthiest people and the most successful people. What have you observed about their decision-making skills when it comes to building wealth or having to make challenging decisions and it's, something where there's a lot of money at stake?
I think a lot of people are people that hold, like they hold on. They don't sell. They hold, and they let the investment ride for a very long time, whether it's real estate, whether it's their stocks, whether it's their income. They don't sell Two, I think people that don't buy things they don't need. I mean, the world, just like they're trying to get you to watch things you don't need, this entire world's getting you to buy things you don't need. I mean, it is remarkable. It's everywhere, consumerism, Black Friday, all that kind of stuff. You need everything you have to be happy, which is something I would probably I try to instill to my kids. It's saving, not spending, and just and just letting investments flourish. It's also not taking incredible risks. I mean, there are people that are worth $1 billion that lose everything, go bankrupt. And they do it because they took margin and option and all the kind of stuff. You just don't need to do that. You don't need more and more and more to be happy. You have everything you have and need to be happy. Just live a great life.
I know that's going to hit with a lot of people. So thank you for sharing that point about saving.
You know, the stats are crazy. I think if you make like $30,000 a year, I think you're in the top 99 percentile of wealth in the world, right? Meaning that if you take 6 billion or whatever is like 8 billion people, 99% of them make less than $30,000 a year. And obviously the cost of living could be higher here, but it's all marketing. like, we're good. Like if you can be watching this YouTube right now, congratulations, you won the world lottery. You have access to things, and maybe it's not that easy, and maybe now it's easier to have access to like a video, but you get the point directionally. And thank you for being a friend to me and my family, and for being a leader in the Compass community. And thanks for having a wonderful podcast like this that helps others. As you know, I care a lot about impact, about our community, about the broader world we live in, and so this is a great way to help make the world we live in better. So thank you.